Good morning. My name is Professor 219. I teach an online class on how to survive as a conservative in today's messed up America. You don't need to know my real name. Today I'm going to talk about the greatest threat facing America. Is it the Delta variant? There's a lot of people out there who want you to believe that. Is it white supremacists? Again, there's a lot of people out there who would like you to believe that. None of the above. The greatest threat to America today is cyber attacks. In a world plagued by the pandemic and its repercussions on public life and industry, cybersecurity management has remained on the back burner. This failure to address a problem that shows signs of catastrophic escalation is nothing new. World authorities had ignored warnings of a super disease bug, and we can all see the impact it continues to have. There are reasons which keep cybersecurity at a lower priority over health issues, livelihood, and extreme weather changes. Still, this ranking is not a measure of the danger of the issue. It only reflects human limitations in accumulating resources, planning interventions, and taking decisive action. Unfortunately, cybersecurity and cybercrime, like all other challenges listed above, have no such limitations. In May 2021, ransomware attackers shut down the largest fuel pipeline supplying the eastern United States, from Texas to New York. The Colonial pipeline is responsible for supplying 45% of gasoline and jet fuel supplies for the East Coast. A month earlier, in April 2021, a prominent American IT firm, SolarWinds, reported a cyber attack that had gone unnoticed for months. This cyber attack showed access to the company's clients, including the Department of Homeland Security and the Treasury. Believed to have been originating in Russia, this attack prompted the government to contemplate sanctions against the Russians. However, even the security services were not spared by the hackers, who leaked the personal details of 22 officers from the Washington, D.C. Metro Police Department in May 2021. Notice that Joe Biden has allowed Vladimir Putin to get away with both of these attacks. If anybody is Putin's bitch, it's not Donald Trump, it's Joe Biden. If cyber criminals don't care which institutions they target, they are equally undiscerning regarding national boundaries. An ongoing international ransomware attack began with the American IT firm Kaseya and has spread to 800 to 1,500 firms, demanding $70 million in ransom. The average ransomware demand has risen to $170,000. $350 million was paid by victims in 2020. The increasingly lucrative nature of a cybercrime career seems to be matched only by continuing apathy, lack of transparency, and unclear direction of countermeasures. No wonder experts proclaim the U.S. is losing the cyber war. Other people call cyber attacks an epidemic. It's not only that COVID has provided opportunities for cyber criminals to send phishing emails and malware under the guise of pandemic response information purportedly coming from the World Health Organization. Using fake news and social engineering, cyber criminals were already playing upon people's fears to steal sensitive information. As governments still attempt to contain COVID, data systems and information architecture remain enticing targets. The private sector has become an even more attractive target. The world shifted to remote working during the lockdowns, where organizations were forced to store information online for access by remote workers. Emerging technologies, information, and integrated smart devices increase the risk for cyber attacks on residences. Emergency management is traditionally associated with preventing and controlling natural disasters, terrorism, and disease outbreaks. However, many states are using outdated computer systems to manage their infrastructure and their elections, making them more vulnerable to attacks. For example, in 2013, Iranian hackers with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard accessed digital controls for the Bowman Avenue Dam in Rye Brook, New York. This is in Westchester County. It's in suburban New York City. They gained control of the floodgates. They could have created a flood that made the Johnstown flood look like a puddle in my driveway. And they didn't open the floodgates. Either they didn't realize that they could have, or they did it just to show that they could. This is very alarming, okay? Could have killed thousands of people. Could have done billions of dollars just in direct damage. It would have cut off two major bridges leading into New York City from the Northeast, from Connecticut and New England, okay? It would have cut off food supplies to grocery stores in New York City. If there had been a simultaneous attack on a dam in New Jersey, the entire city could have been cut off. Okay? We would have been scrambling to just keep the people of New York City fed and supplied. Colonial pipeline, Kaseya, and solar winds have shown how the scope of these attacks are only going to grow persistently. In addition, Iran is investing in social engineering to entice users to click on malware content, while China is building its capabilities in zero-day vulnerabilities. What that means for you is if you get an email from somebody and you don't know who it is, and there's a link in the software or in the email, don't click on it. If you don't know who you got the link from, don't click on it. As the media have dutifully reported, cyber attacks are an ever-growing threat to government infrastructure and data warehouses. These reports include cyber attacks that entailed assaults on physical infrastructure, theft of data and identities, and disruptions in work. The Bowman Avenue Dam attack proves cyber attacks could have devastating physical and economic effects. By being forced to shut down essential services in a German hospital, cyber criminals have already taken one life. By targeting essential services during a pandemic, these cyber criminals have shown that these crimes are premeditated and completely remorseless. There is no doubt that national security is at risk if cyber threats are not planned and included in emergency management procedures. However, despite the threat caused by increasing numbers of cyber attacks and the diversity of institutions under attack, emergency management has completely failed to add cyber security to the mix. Meanwhile, major attacks on critical infrastructure such as power, fuels, water stations, transportation controls have become the new face of warfare. Let me tell you a few things about warfare, okay? Level 1 warfare. Hit your enemy over the head with a wooden club. Level 2 warfare. Bows and arrows. Now you don't have to run up all the way in his face and hit him with a wooden club, okay? You can hit him from a distance before he swings his club at your head, okay? Machine guns, B-17 bombers, battleships, aircraft carriers, all that's examples of improved level 2 warfare. Level 3 warfare. ICBMs, okay? Now you don't even need to go there at all. You can destroy them from the other side of the world and to completely obliterate them, okay? Level 4 warfare. War via proxies. Terrorist groups, militias, revolutionary insurgent groups, okay? Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia have been using these against us for about 60 years now. Level 5 warfare. You don't even know you've been attacked. Could be a computer virus, could be hackers, could be a COVID virus. The COVID virus almost definitely originated in the Wuhan lab. And how do I know this? Location, location, location. Those are the three most important things in the real estate industry. Location, location, location. The outbreak was in Wuhan, and by golly, there's a virology lab in Wuhan. The hospitals that dealt with the initial outbreak are all on a Wuhan subway line that goes from the virology lab to the international airport. The original victim, the patient zero, the first person in the world identified as a COVID patient, infected with COVID, had nothing to do with that seafood market, a wet market in Wuhan, even though all of the initial cases were clustered around this market, and the Chinese government tried to play it off as having been spread from animal sources in this market. Okay, that's disinformation. The DNA, the genetic material in this virus indicates that it came from a specific species of bat that is native to southern China. The closest natural habitat of this bat is 600 miles from Wuhan. However, they did have species of that bat in cages at the lab for research purposes. What do you suppose the odds are that a bat was being sold at the Wuhan wet market? What do you suppose are the odds that a bat flew 600 miles from southern China to Wuhan? Virtually zero. It's almost definitely came from the Wuhan lab, regardless of the disinformation that you're getting, okay? Now, what we're experiencing now is level 5 warfare. The Russians, the Chinese, North Koreans, the Iranians, they know that if they take us on with conventional warfare, levels 1 through 3, they're going to get their butts kicked. So they use level 4 and level 5 warfare. Major attacks on critical infrastructure, such as power, fuels, water stations, and transportation controls, have become the new face of warfare. More worrisome is that governments are reluctant to share data about such attacks or are even aware of when specific attacks occur, fearing that such information will expose our vulnerability and incite further attacks. These concerns may be valid, but keeping the public in the dark can only intensify the risk. Lapses in cybersecurity increase the potential for such attacks to impact society at large. The Obama administration kept the Bowman Avenue Dam attack a secret for 3 years. Finally, when everybody's attention was diverted by the presidential campaign, they told us about it in March 2016. The U.S. government has indicated that Russia has perpetrated cyber attacks on American nuclear power plants. They could create another Chernobyl in the United States, multiple Chernobyls. But the government has not shared the details of these cyber attacks or whether any of them were successful. Okay, these are worrisome signs indeed. Now, notice that the Iranians were negotiating a nuclear weapons limitation deal with Obama and John Kerry at the time of the 2013 cyber attack on the Bowman Avenue Dam. They were dealing with the Obama administration on the table, and they were stabbing us in the gut under the table at the same time. This indicates to you how treacherous they are. And Obama let them get away with it, and he shipped them pallets of cash. Okay, this boggles my mind. Both Obama and Biden have a track record of allowing our enemies to get away with cyber attacks. The scope of these cyber attacks seems to be unlimited, and their targets continue to be caught unprepared. From shutting down operations of the world's largest meat processing company to attempts to protect a municipal water supply that was getting poisoned in Tampa Bay with lye, cyber attacks present an unprecedented range of threats. The U.S. Departments of Energy, the Treasury, and Homeland Security were all part of a recent breach. Nevertheless, they have done very little to improve the digital infrastructure needed to ensure public safety. The threats are growing for individuals as well. Novel Android malware is being developed, entire families of malware, to access certain ethnic minorities' mobile devices and capture data in Western Europe. Sunbird and Hornbill target Muslims in Western Europe using social engineering, and once it's been installed on these Muslims' devices, it captures their calls, their camera information, and their social media information. They're even going a step further, installing attacker-specified applications, apps, programs on their victims' phones, laptops, iPads, PCs, everything. Consider the political implications of these attacks when incriminating evidence can be planted to label innocent people as terrorists or white supremacists or insurrectionists at the Capitol building. The stakes are only growing for conservatives like you and me. Cybersecurity needs the urgent attention of all policymakers and emergency planners. To be truly effective, we must incorporate cybersecurity into the framework. The world's governments must take the necessary steps to replace their infrastructure and update before it is too late. The pandemic has already necessitated digital infrastructure modernization projects. Cities like Berkeley have upgraded to hyper-converged platforms and are moving on to creating cyber residence roadmaps. Leadership, public and private, at all levels has to draft and implement cybersecurity policies. I used to work in cybersecurity. Before I started teaching, I worked in cybersecurity. Way back in the 70s, some of you who know me and know my real name probably are well aware of this. I was a little kid in the computer lab in the 1970s that nobody could get rid of. Back then, the main memory device was punch cards. And the data processing students would send me across the street to the bookstore to buy a few more boxes of punch cards, and they'd give me an extra $5, and I'd buy a glass bottle of Mountain Dew and a bag of Fritos. That tells you how long ago it was. They served soda in glass bottles from vending machines. Okay. I bought my first computer in 1979. I bought my first hard drive in 1984. It was 20 megabytes. I thought I had died and gone to heaven because I didn't have to keep swapping out 5 1/4 inch floppy disks that were actually floppy, flexible. Okay. Bought my first printer in 85. Okay. I've been around the block a few times when it comes to computer science. International law enforcement has to come together to nab these criminals, irrespective of their location. We need to get the Russian government on board, shutting these people down. A lot of it's done by freelancers. Russia has an enormous freelance hacker community. The Russian army trains hackers by the thousands. They create hacking software. They update their hacking software. One of the practices of these cyber attackers, military cyber attackers, is when they get out of the military, they take a flash drive with the latest hacking software from the Russian government with them and become part of the underground hacking community. I believe a lot of these cyber attacks aren't even commissioned by the Russian government. I believe they're commissioned by private parties. We have to elevate cybersecurity and emergency planning. It will be possible to devote a structured approach to well-trained personnel, like me, but younger, integrated systems, and exhaustive assessments to this discipline. Cybercriminals use state-of-the-art technology, which implies that cybersecurity defenders have to be equipped with systems that allow them to preempt the planning by these cybercriminals. Network reconnaissance and skill are essential in combating these cybercriminals. Tackling cybersecurity at an emergency footing will also support industries that traditionally preferred to pay the ransom than take other steps to deal with a cyber attack to prepare the responses better. For example, the manufacturing sector receives twice as many attacks as the construction, technology, and retail sectors because they cannot afford to shut down systems for any length of time. Preparing for cyber attacks, akin to firefighting, can build resilience and help create resistance. To be truly effective, we have to incorporate cybersecurity into emergency management framework. The world's governments must take the necessary steps to update their cybersecurity before it is too late. I'm sorry I've gone way over my usual allocation of 15 minutes. I'm at 21 minutes at this point, but this is such an important topic that I felt it deserved a detailed explanation. That's about all I have for today. If you like what you've heard, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, share this with your conservative friends on Facebook and other social media, Rumble, BitChute, you name it, and leave me a comment or two in the comments below. I will respond promptly. Thank you for your time.